welcome back here with us on Overdrive. Now, the biggest unveil this year by far has come from Renault stable. They brought back the Renault Duster in India. 90% of it is being built in India. And what's very interesting is they brought a hybrid engine in the mix. Let's find out all about it.
All the craze that you see about mid-size SUVs was started by this car, the Renault Duster, and it's finally back after a very long wait, and this is what it's like. Now the Duster for India gets a pretty unique set of styling. It's not shared with all the other Duster models that you have elsewhere in the world. For example, the Dacia Duster or say the other Renault Duster models that you do have. And a lot of work has been done under the skin as well to make it specific for the Indian market. For example, a lot of work has been done on NVH. This entire platform has been heavily localized. All the tuning and so on has been done for Indian conditions. And a lot of the design is different too. As you can see, you have this, you don't have a Renault badge in the front, which is quite different. Of course, you have that wide LED lighting, but there's just a Duster lettering in the front. Of course, 360-degree cameras, ADAS also, and these very, very chunky and contrastly styled bumpers. I think they give it a very butch, tough look. But I have to say, when you look at the car from in profile, it still looks like a Duster. Now, you have these quite chunky 18-inch wheels. Now, they're about par for the course for this segment, but this car also has 212 mm of ground clearance. And I know it's very crowded. And there's no fancy flush door handles here. It's very practical, tough. You have this hidden sort of door handle. Yeah, the very distinct silhouette. Now this is slightly different. The launch edition cars or the first few cars will get this plaque here with that Duster kind of lettering on it. Just something different for the first few people. Now as you can see, the rear too is not shared with all the other Duster models that you get globally. Again, it's been made to fit the Indian taste. So you have this full width lighting, you have that new Renault logo, a lot of LED elements. So it's par for the course for this segment. But here's another trait of the Duster right from the time that it was there in the beginning. Of course, the power tailgate is new, but you now have 700 liters of boot space, but that's counted to the roof. But this still looks like one of the most spacious boots you can get in the segment. Now, this car does not have a spare wheel, but of course, there is space for one, I'm assuming. So this will be one of the bigger boots you can get in this segment. Now the big news with this new generation of the Duster are its powertrain options. Of course, you have gas start, so it gives you that nice premium feel. But this is only the second car in this segment to actually get a hybrid powertrain. It's a 1.8 litre naturally aspirated motor paired with a 1.4 kilowatt battery pack. Now we don't know all the exact details like the efficiency and the power figure and so on, but Renault says you can drive in the city for up to 80% of the time in pure EV mode alone, which seems quite great. And as for the other engine options, you have that same 1.3 litre turbo petrol that was there from earlier when the Duster sort of went away. Of course, that's been updated, retuned for BS6. It now makes 163 PS and 280 Nm. And then you also have a smaller 1 litre turbo with about 100 PS. Now inside the new Renault Duster, and I have to say that I'm quite surprised by just how upmarket this place feels. Yes, there are more upmarket cars, but compared to what we remember of the Duster, it had a very functional, very tough brief. So that feel kind of still remains, but it's become really quite modern and there's a good mix of material. For example, of course, the first thing that we notice are these really big screens. I can't tell you the exact size of it, but I'm guessing this will be about 11 to 12 inches. That'll be about 10.25 inches. But the main thing here is, which is the segment first feature, that this is a Google-based system. As you can see, I have the maps right here. I can also put them right on the screen if I wanted. And by the way, the screen really does seem to work really quite well. The functions are quite fluid. The displays, the way it works, it's very different, very kind of quirky-ish, if you will. So all of that is nice. Quite unique features that they haven't spoken of. You have these drive modes. Now the steering itself is tilt and telescopic. And there is a competitive set of features. Now this front seat is powered and ventilated. The seats also, they feel quite nice and supportive, held together well. Do have that big panoramic sunroof. Now I'm sat in the back seat of the Renault Duster, and the seat is pushed quite further back, and I still have a decent amount of knee room and foot room. Now I'll be honest, this is not the biggest car in the segment, at least in this very quick first impression, but it's comfortable and good enough for maybe your family of four. But there, as you'll notice, there's quite a hump here, which many cars in this space now sort of have gotten rid of. But you do get these two Type-C chargers and rear AC vents. And I have to say, otherwise, I have quite a good, at least for my height, quite a decent amount of headroom. There are no sunshades here, which is a bit of a miss. And as you'll notice, the windows don't roll down fully. But having said that, the seats, they're very comfortable, very supportive. They're the very typical European kind of firm cushioning that really holds you in place. Good thigh support. Also lean. I don't know if it reclines, but it has a decent lean angle in any case, so you will not be too uncomfortable. Now, thankfully, you get a third headrest and this kind of arrangement here. So very quickly, this is what the back seat of the Duster is like. As you can see right there, the Renault Duster is back. Now, pre-bookings or booking sort of expressions of interest have just started. We don't have all the details like the pricing, a lot of the specs yet. But what we do know is that the turbo petrols will go on sale, or at least deliveries will begin in March. And the hybrid, where I guess some more work is still left, will go on sale sometime around Diwali.
With that, it's a wrap on this week's edition of Overdrive. But remember, you can stay in touch with the team through our various social media platforms. You can write to us on YouTube as well. We'll see you next week. Until then, drive and ride safe.